Hello everyone, so today's video is going to be, I don't really know what I'm going to title it yet, but I'm basically just going to give you like A-level subject advice, so I guess just kind of like how to pick your A-levels, or like, yeah, that's basically it, just how to pick your A-levels, that's what I'm going to talk about today. So I thought I would come along and make a video to help you out. So, let's get on with it. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about my own A-levels and which ones I do and how I feel about them, how much I rate them, if I recommend them, because I may not. Okay, I may not. So me personally, I do 3 A-levels. You can do 4, but if you do 4, that's quite a lot of stress. I do art A-level, photography and history. So I do 2 creative subjects and 1 content, and a lot of content. A lot of content. If I go and like rate them out of 10 each subject, I would say art is like a 7 out of 10. I personally really like doing art, but the only thing with it is it's very time consuming. Obviously, if you do it at GCSE, you kind of are aware of how much time it takes you, but just kind of imagine that like doubled. I mean, at the moment, because we're off school, I'm kind of screwed for my photography and art A-level, because photography, I need Photoshop. I don't just casually have Photoshop laying around. And then art, I don't have like all the supplies I would like to do my responses for art, because like I would normally just use the school's materials because I'm trying to save money because it's very expensive being an art student. But I've now got to do loads of responses at home and it's just like, how do I do it? Because I don't have the materials. Next up is photography. This is like an 8.5 out of 10. It's like a little bit better than art for me, just because it's quite simple, if I'm being honest, for me personally. Everything's on the computer, like, you know, it's just kind of like, not stress-free, because sometimes you've got deadlines, or I've got deadlines and I don't meet them, and I'm like, great. You've got like a deadline on Monday and you leave on Friday and you've got responses to do and you're like, how do I do that if I don't have Photoshop at home? It can get quite annoying not having Photoshop. But if you are going to take photography A-level, I would recommend buying. It's very expensive. I haven't done it because I don't have the funds for that. I would recommend buying the program that your school uses, just so that you can edit your photos at home as well as at school. But obviously, like myself, if you don't have the money for that, then don't do that. I only picked both of them because I want to go in the creative field. So I was like, you know what, I might as well just pick 2 and then I'll just do 1 that kind of like shows I have a brain, but I don't really have a brain, if I'm being honest. Finally, history. You know, I'm gonna be real. It's probably like a 5 out of 10. When I walk into the lessons, I'm not like, history. I'm really not excited when I walk in. It's just a lot of stuff. That's the only way. Really, there's no way to like describe it, besides there's just so much. There's so much going on. In the space of 7 months, I have covered about 15 years of the Cold War. And I've done 1.5 monarchs in Tudors. But if you're doing like 2 essay subjects in history, love, you was gonna die. Love, it's literally madness, love. Like, literally madness. Also, when thinking about picking your A-levels, you have to think about the jump in workload that you get, because they say that it's like you go from doing 9 subjects to 3 subjects, so you get like 3 times the amount of work. You need to think about when you pick the A-levels if you're ready for the workload change. So like, I was literally just sat there thinking like, would I enjoy this if I had 4 lessons of it a week? Because if someone was to be like, chemistry A-level, I would have clocked out. I would have left. I would have walked out of the facility. I would have said no. And then for someone who has no idea for their A-levels, if you're like, I don't know what I want to do in life, I don't know what I want to do for A-levels, help, I'll try, I guess. Basically, the way that I was told by someone, like if you have no idea what you want to do, the way to like kind of think about it is to do 1 creative subject, 1 academic subject, and then 1, I think the words, I've got it written down here as humanity. I don't really know. Basically, like a humanity is like geography, history, business, like one of those sort of subjects. So if you're doing a creative subject, say art, and then an academic, so say English literature, and then a humanity, say business. it kind of gives you like 3 separate categories, so that then in the future when you go to jobs or universities, you kind of have a realm in each sort of like area, so that it's like you're not boxed into a corner or like into a certain job field or university degree or something. Because if you pick art, photography, textiles, and then you go, I want to be a biologist, I'm not sure universities are going to think you're the right candidate if you haven't done biology or you haven't done chemistry or any sort of like biology-esque subject. And then if you also have no idea what you want to do as in which topic, you kind of just have to think about like what would be transferable. So like what could be best suited to kind of fit into loads of different things. Because if you pick biology, it's very in there, it's very like specific and like that's it. But if you pick like English literature, that kind of keeps stuff widened because it's like quite a few fields that you could go into. So think about it. Now I'm going to talk about all of the different A-levels that my friends do and kind of like what I've heard from them talking about it, kind of like the vibe of each subject, just so you can get perspectives of other subjects and not just the 3 that I do. First off is textiles. It's kind of just very similar to art or photography, one of the creative ones. So if you did textile GCSE and you enjoyed it, I would recommend it because it's pretty much the same, except you just have more to do, which in my case I was fine with because I enjoy doing art and photography in my own time, so it's fine. Next up is maths. Now I have heard that it is very difficult. I'm not a maths person. 2 times 2 is where I go to, that's kind of my limit, but like maths I've just heard is very hard. Like even from people who are good at maths, they're just saying how it's very difficult, it's quite new, like the stuff you get taught. So you kind of have to think if you would enjoy that stress, which I would not. I would be out the door. Next up is English literature. I have heard that it's just a lot of like books and essays and stuff, but it is enjoyable. All the people, like all of my friends that do it really like it. They really enjoy it. I just think it's quite like a lot. But it was quite a lot at GCSE in my opinion. I feel like it was just like books and poems, and at A-level it's books and poems, but just like a higher level. So if you enjoyed it, I would recommend it. Then you've got English language. This is an A-level that I have heard very positive things about from all of my friends that do it. If I was to drop history, it's too late now, sadly, it's too late. I would have picked English language just because it seems quite nice, like not easy. I'm not gonna use the word easy because no A-level is easy. Like it's just quite like simple, and I would have picked it if I could now. Then for biology, physics and chemistry, I have a few friends that do biology and I have a few friends that do physics. I don't have any friends that do chemistry because we all have souls. No offense if you like chemistry, it's just not for me. But from what I've heard, they are just quite difficult. I'm just gonna be straightforward, but literally every A-level is difficult at this point. If you just enjoy it, then pick it. I haven't heard anything like, oh, it's super crazy, like it's super different to GCSE. I've heard that it's very similar. I think you just go really in depth. Then you've got business and economics. Those are 2 separate subjects, but I have a few friends that do, quite a few friends that do business. That's quite a popular one. And then I think I have a few friends that do economics. Business and economics are good. They're just kind of like, there's no way I can describe them because I don't do the subjects, but like I would have probably picked business or English language if I wasn't doing history. Next up is psychology. I have just heard that this is quite a difficult subject because you have a lot to learn and they always seem to have tests in my year in the psychology classes. They always just seem to have tests going on. Good, but it's just hard. That's what I've heard. And then sociology, I haven't really heard a lot. I've got one friend that does it because not that many people in my year picked it. It's okay, it's just an essay subject, that's all I've heard. But overall, talk to your teachers. I would say talk to them, but we kind of can't because we're in lockdown. Hit them up with an email, I guess. Just being like, hi, would you recommend this as an A-level? Or like, do you think that this subject would be better than this subject? I'm sure that they would be more than happy to help. But yeah, that was all I wanted to say. I know this was quite a weird video, probably not that helpful, but I just kind of thought I'd like to make it. So I hope that you will have a really good day and a really good week, and I hope that I see you all in my next video. Bye. My phone just fell on the floor.